This is IBM Museum. Back a little bit into the IBM mid-range systems, that AS400, that 9406-170 I have. And I have an interest in going through and getting it on a UPS, an uninterruptible power supply, just in case there happens to be a power drop or something else, that I can get the system where it gracefully shuts down, power just doesn't go out. And I've did some digging around. I went through and luckily all I had to do is look on the back of the unit to see that this J14 connection, and it has pin 3 blocked out, keyed, so you can't get the wrong cable connected in there. It does have that labeled as UPS. And there's the port to the right that's the high density. IBM uses that in other places too for like the communications cable on that 5494. But that has the UPS plus, it's like a CP, I'm trying to remember what that is. I don't see the photograph so good myself here. It may be more visible. But anyway, I'm not going to go through and use that, that connection anyway. And so I went through and I did get searching for information and came across a page otherwise. And it at least lists the part number that I'm looking for, the cable that I'm looking for, among this chart that's down here. And the second row down for that IBM server model has newer 9402, comma, all 9406 models. And that's what I have in the 170 model. And so it's got the APC cables listed here, that the APC brand of UPS. And they do have those, they have a little bit of chart up above for the different models that they have. But in this case, I'm going for that SU. That's treated as a smart UPS model. And I know it has the 9-pin connector on the back of it. We'll get looking at that in just a moment. And in this chart, it goes through and says I'm looking for that 940-0031 cable. And I do even have a picture of that as well. And that is in that lower right-hand corner, that where it shows the 940-0031. And the connector that's to the left there, that's for the AS400 in, and it does have that center pin 3 removed from it. And so it's able to go through and connect up to one end to the AS400 and to the other end to the UPS. Now, this is the UPS back here, and I probably need to go through and look for a couple of the other units, because I went through and of course it's not, it's giving me battery replacement errors, and I did go through and pull the battery, and this looks like this is the Authentic replacement that APC itself made. They go through and they fasten 2 batteries together. In this case, the 18 amp hour batteries, there's 2 of them. Just put some, they put some double stick tape, that foam tape, and then they also use the foam tape to seal the covers. This is actually a fuse that's up there, and then they have the leads off of this, and this is a pull tab. And I go through and often just make one out of duct tape and go through and double stick these tape to the batteries of my own together and put on the harnesses. I mean, I've got those around. In testing the batteries, one of these it shows over 12 volts, but the other one's kind of performing poorly. I think it's showing like 6 or 7 or 8 volts, and it's the bad side. I'll probably just go through and come up with the unit. I went through and ordered 2 more of these batteries, and I'll look through because I've ordered these in the past, and I should have one of these UPSs around that has a newer set of these batteries in here. And these last for several years. I mean, my observation, they went through, that's why this is the original battery pack for this unit, is that these things do last for at least several years. And of course I have the front of the unit pointed that way, the battery cover down, that metal piece there, and then of course the front off of it. And on the back of the unit, it's not the UPS, it's not the USB cable that we're looking for as connecting. We could, with a PC, we could simply do the Type A to Type B cable from the PC. And Windows, the modern Windows goes through and it recognizes, the battery backups and goes through and puts that down in the lower right-hand corner and treats that as basically the power supply for the unit, and can warn the system when it's on battery power or show how much that battery charge is if you happen to be on a desktop and not a laptop that's got its own battery built in anyway. So we're actually going to go through and we're going to work with, there's this DB9 connector that's in this upper corner, and that's what we tie into. And that used to be the original where they had a serial port interface to this, and other manufacturers, they have very similar setups with the newer USB, and in a lot of cases the some sort of serial port connection. APC is a little bit different, where they go through and they make these proprietary. I did ask on the group about, hey, I'm looking for this cable and I'm not finding it, and I did have one helpful individual go through and give me a lead and talked about where there's a pinout for a cable, but I'm not quite so sure. It doesn't use the pin 3 of that connector, but it does go through and it has different ends and everything else. And I just wish that, I mean, I've got every type of other of APC cable here, and this, in fact, this USB cable is not even the it's got the RJ45 end on one side. This is for something, and it gives on all these cables, it goes through and it gives the marking. And if you see cables like this, in fact, you may see a black cable like this, and you think, oh, this is like a serial cable, or, it's, you always want to look at the numbers that happen to be there on one end. And I think that one's for, like, I think the PC side or whatever. Real common cable. You can find these on eBay and things like that, like crazy. And I've got different ones. I mean, I've got not just the black cables that are those 0024s, and I've got the C and D versions and all that. These, even for, different style connectors at both ends. And where is the markings on that one? A little bit of rust on some of these. That's a 940-0020, and I think that's a B. APC goes in that convention where all their cables are at 940, and then the dash, and then 0010, whatever, and then sometimes a letter at the end. But I mean, it's just, I've got these things like crazy. I go through and trade. I'll try that pinout to see if I can come up with my own cable, and I have to see how much these are varied from the pinout that was offered, just to kind of see how they worked with the connection there. So, you know, hopefully I can find something, but by the time the battery comes in and everything else, I'll be looking to get that cable that interconnects the AS400, and then I've got to go into the commands and figure out how, and of course, if you connect in the UPS anyway, you're going to have to do a shutdown and restart it, go through the IPL again to get it up and running. I did see some things to identify how the AS400 knows that a UPS, it's connected to a UPS for power, and how it gets a little bit of that signaling. But we'll have to figure that out when we get a little bit further past the physical connection side. I've just got to get through that. So hopefully I can do that. If anyone is aware that I can source one of those cables, I mean, I've seen those things at one place for in upwards of $70, and that's just, it's too expensive for me. But if anybody is able to locate something like that down, I'll give a link in the description of what the cable I'm looking for, and these pages I'm pulling up, and I'd really appreciate it. So if you enjoyed this content, click on that like button and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Recommend it to your friends that are interested in this content so I can grow my subscriber base. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.